Okay, we will begin. Tonight is Monday, April 4th, 7:01 p.m. I can see that we are all present with the exception of Katie, who let me know that she had a conflict for this evening. So I will call the meeting to order. Reminder that the meeting is being recorded. Lois, do you have your flag?
Well, of course. Just sitting here
Here
waiting.
we go. All right, we'll start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the
Public
republic
stands
for which
one
it
nation,
stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty and
liberty
justice
and justice
for
for
all.
all. Our mission is to address the needs and concerns of our disabled residents and provide their full participation in the activities and services of Wakefield. I do not see where we have anybody on for public participation. So we'll just go right. Let's approve the minutes for the March 21st meeting. Make a motion to approve the March 21st meeting minutes. That's the correct date, right? That was our last meeting.
Mhm.
Yes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting, March 21st.
Would someone make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for March 21st?
I will.
Okay,
approve them.
thank you, Paula. Would someone second that?
I will. We approve them.
Thank you, Lois. Thank you. Okay, and Lois, so no changes in finances, correct? That you're
Correct.
yet?
Yet.
Okay. So I received a call today from Bob Sadella. Oh, Darcy is joining. Thank you. I received a call today from Bob Sardella that the banner was complete and he was heading over to town meeting and asked me, should he just bring it over there and drop it off? And I said, sure. I told him to drop it with Sherry along with the invoice. That way she could see that, in fact, it had been completed so that she wouldn't have any questions when she made payment. So Lois, would you want to go pick it up at some point this week from Sherry from Town Hall? As Lorna said she would go.
Sure.
Okay, I would appreciate that. And just hold on to it. I'll connect with you at some point, or you can just bring it with you next Monday.
Okay.
And, you know, we'll put on the table then. Okay, well, before we get to Intelligent Lives, let me just hit upon a couple of other items. So, Lois, on Thursday, March 31st, you had thought you might attend that that Zoom meeting on accessibility at the MBTA for low vision folks. Were you able to do that?
I did. Not a thing about Wakefield
You did.
or the trains and the however $1 million they quoted. I myself and my husband really kind of pushed it a little bit and nothing. It was all about signs and how people can read the signs that the people that have disabilities, and nothing about absolutely nothing. So I just said, we have a problem here. We've been without any way of getting on the train. I did take the train. It was hard. And, you know, it was ridiculous.
So were people able to give them some feedback as far as, you said they talked about signs? I mean, what,
This-
aside from the fact that they didn't talk about actually getting on the train in Wakefield,
No.
did,
Absolutely not. Nothing.
you know,
No.
but was there, when in regard to the signs, was,
Sign-
you know, were there other people on the phone that, on
There
the
were.
meeting that had vision problems that were able to
There were.
give them any good, I guess, anything you thought was good?
There were people on that had vision problems, and they had signs and they had buttons you can that you can press to see this, and there was, I mean, it was ridiculous. So it
Well,
was,
that's too bad.
it
Too bad.
downright was. I talked about the money that we spent every year for the MBTA, and trying to help people, and nothing.
Well,
was a-
hopefully your concerns were at least recorded, and
Oh, absolutely.
we'll see where that takes us. Well, I think I had also sent you folks during the week the response that that our had received in regard to the MBTA proposal for capital improvements. So Wakefield didn't make the list. So, I don't know what's going to come of that. Obviously, Representative Garabedian will continue to push, but I just don't, I don't know how much, I don't know where this will go. So I guess we just need to stay tuned.
Oh, yeah.
And let them
I'm
work
wondering-
it on the state level.
Still have 2 meetings coming up.
Sorry, who's talking?
They still have 2 meetings coming up.
I'm
Oh.
wondering if, since Wakefield has no access to the train for somebody that needs, somebody who can't go upstairs, since Melrose Highlands does have access because they changed theirs however many years ago, I wonder if we could say we want more accessible parking spaces, more than is required by law in Melrose, to account for however many spaces would be available to Wakefield residents if we were accessible. So whatever it is, 4 spaces for Wakefield residents, increase the accessible spaces, which would cost them almost nothing. It would prevent them, they'd probably lose about 4 parking spaces if they make 4 accessible parking spaces. So they'd lose the income from 4 spaces. But that's way better than, and then have them reserved for Wakefield or whatever, just have more accessible spaces at an accessible location, given that ours is not accessible.
I mentioned the fact that we do have several handicap parking spaces that are never taken. Why do you think that? I think it's because there's no way to get on the train.
Right. I'm sure that's a
I made
big
it
part
very-
of it.
I made it very well. Let them know what I thought.
Lois, I want to
Jesus.
thank you for being such a great advocate
I
for the
was-
people of Wakefield.
Thank you.
She was a little buzzsaw, believe me, she made it known.
You're amazing, and I think you're such a great crusader for people in Wakefield, and I really appreciate you always showing up.
I appreciate.
She walks the walk every day, that's why.
Correct.
And
Well,
I-
the
I-
upside is you got recorded, Lois, on
Yeah.
that meeting. They, it's recorded and, for public view, I'm sure. So we just need to continue to push. At some point, I think that we may see some movement. Lorna, you had a question?
Well, it was to tag on to what
Comment?
Janice was saying about the accessible parking spaces down at Melrose. There probably should be some accessible parking places for Wakefield residents in Reading also. And that would at least take care of this end of, that end of town if they had to go to Reading, and the other end of town if they had to go to Melrose. Though it doesn't really answer the questions, or doesn't answer what needs to be done.
I think Reading has a much larger parking area too. So I think that Melrose Highlands is not huge. It's it's a pretty small lot. And I think it's all inside the lot versus I think Reading has the street parking as well as a lot, or maybe just street, I don't know. But we could ask. That's not too much to ask. That's not $1 million. So
And
it's
who do you think is responsible for the parking spaces there? Is that MBTA or is that the individual city and town?
a good question.
I think it's a little, I didn't mean to bark in.
North Avenue is the MBTA. Reading, I think, is the MBTA. Highlands, I think it kind of shares a parking lot with that steel house, which is like senior housing.
Did you hear that? I even went so far as to say, well, who are the higher ups?
Well, Jason Lewis may have something because I think he might have
He's
all
gonna
three
be there.
towns in his
Yeah.
district.
Yeah,
Was there anybody like that on the call? Were there any state reps on that call, Lois, that you could tell?
no,
No.
They were
No.
all talking basically on technology.
Yeah.
The new push button this and push button that. And
signs.
Lois was the only one that talked about platforms, except for one woman, and I believe Averill had the same problem.
So they don't have accessibility in Haverhill either.
Crazy, absolutely.
As they were saying, it cost $50 million to do it in Wakefield. I have hardly can believe that.
It's not going to cost $50 million to put some kind of a platform in Wakefield. I mean,
That's what they said.
Yep.
Because it would have to be on both sides where it's a double track,
Yeah,
similar to the Highlands. But if you go down there and look at the Highlands, it's not that much. It's concrete. It's not that big of a structure. I'm sure the MBTA engineers could work something out to make it fit in.
right. Yeah, maybe we need to take a little field trip. I'm not familiar with what it looks like in Melrose, so I'll drive down there at some point and
Yeah. We have pictures.
take a look.
We'll send them over to you somehow. They can just look them over.
Thank you for letting my husband speak, because he spoke
I
too.
always try to ask permission.
We don't want to barge in.
I know I'm having trouble. I don't know if it's my connectivity, but people are coming in and out, and I have to call Verizon and get this straightened out here. Well, this will definitely remain on the top of our priority list, this and then the housing. Once we're done with Intelligent Lives, we
Right.
really need to, I think we need to push. That's what they're going to have to just continue to hear from us. And the squeaky wheel gets the grease, as you know.
Mhm.
So yeah, we'll just have to stay on top of this. So I appreciate you, Lois, for attending that meeting and mentioning this.
Mhm. Thank you.
Yes, that's Max. Okay. I believe the town council has a meeting tonight. where I think they're going to vote in our new commission member. I got online earlier today and I didn't see an agenda, so I'm really not sure. But I will try to catch the recording, because should they do that, I'll reach out to her this week and invite her to Intelligent Lives. Okay, so does anybody have anything else before we move to talk about Intelligent Lives? Anything else you want to bring up?
Oh, I just have a quick.
Okay, so I think we've hit. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Regarding,
Yes, go ahead, Lois.
regarding Monday night, I would suggest maybe having somebody at the door. I think we spoke about this the other night. To open the door or something like that for people to get in. And then also Bill and I'll will have more than what we usually use for the handicap, things, the orange, can't think of the word, the orange thing.
Cones.
Oh, thank
Cones.
you. I gotta get my,
Yes, we asked Bill to have for handicap parking, that whole section that's out in the front of the Galvin, I don't
Yeah.
know what you call it, that turnaround there. I asked him, but I'm going to make myself a note to follow up with him.
okay,
When you look at, I had sent everyone earlier tonight the individuals that have RSVP'd to date. And I specifically checked because obviously one of the questions in our registration is, do you have any accessibility needs? And no one has checked off any box. So we're going to have to assume that at this stage of the game, we're not going to need anybody who's deaf or hard of hearing that's going to need any particular supports, because I don't think at this point we're going to have time to address that. But I will connect with Bill. So Lois, what you're saying is, in addition to the extra handicap parking, that the doors should be ajar somehow so that people, I don't know what
Or
the
have-
Galvin has.
Somebody goes in.
or somebody to be at the door, letting people in.
Okay.
They do have an automatic door, but
They do have an automatic door, but who knows?
Okay.
Suggestion.
We probably should have somebody in the lobby just to deflect any
Yep.
questions or
Yep.
concerns
And
that come up.
if we have out of town folks, they might not know which way to go, so they can direct people toward the auditorium. It's just nice. I'd be happy to be the person by the door.
All right, that would be great, Janice. I was just going to ask for volunteers, so that would be awesome. Okay, so I think as far as advertising, we've hit everything that we said we're going to do. I put it out on the Wakefield Community Facebook page. WCAT has it. Obviously, it was in the item. I will do another piece for the item and try to also get that over to Melrose and some of the other papers if I can. Jen McDonald has said it's at the kiosks around the lake. It should be at the library. We've made invitation to all the town managers in the surrounding town managers, mayor, the Chamber of Commerce,
I went
the
to
different, what was that, Lois?
talk to Susan Bowering, and I gave her some of these. And she's gonna pass them. There's a meeting the next day, tomorrow, as a matter of fact.
Rotary.
The Rotary,
For the Chamber of Commerce?
Rotary,
Okay, that's great.
Rotary. So she has
Oh,
some of those,
she's Rotary.
yeah. So
Okay.
and she said, fine.
that's one thing that I guess I'm a little disappointed in when we look at the RSVPs. As I mentioned in my email, we see one known business that is asked a question, but from the other responses, I'm making the assumption that they're not businesses, certainly not from town. And I did try to individually send, to look up some of these businesses and send on Facebook page, send it through their Facebook or through an email that might be on their website. And I was just, every time I sent something, it bounced back to me. So I'm not sure, they have their online ordering, but it doesn't seem like they're communicating very well through that means. So I don't know if anyone has any other suggestions as to how we get to these, businesses, if there are specific businesses we should be targeting in town.
Rotary Chamber.
Yeah, which we've done. We can only hope that they're passing it along. So I don't know. Do some of these businesses have Twitter accounts? Like Facebook doesn't seem to be really working. I mean, I don't have a Twitter account, so I couldn't communicate that way. But I guess I really wanted to see more businesses. So I'll have to work that article to sort of stress that, and then just continue to just post on your own social media, and it will be what it will be. Hopefully those that do attend will go back and pass the word along.
I'm
So,
sure.
Marie.
and we'll have to stay on it. Hi, Levon.
Hi, I have an idea about maybe we should ask the item to send a reporter to the event, and maybe they'll write an article after the fact so that the word spreads even further after that.
Okay, I did reach out to WCAT and ask them if they would do press coverage, and also ask them if they would send someone to videotape. But I explained to them that we can't videotape the actual showing of the film, but that we could videotape the before and the panel discussion. But of course, it is a town council meeting that night, and they've got to cover that. So, if they can find somebody else who's willing to come, they'll send somebody. But that is a good point, is to send the item and ask them to send someone to do press coverage for us. So I'll work on that tomorrow. Does anybody else have any other suggestions in regard to that?
I did see also on here, I know there's Hart's Hardware, but I also see the Cooperative Bank, and I thought I saw the Savings Bank. So that's 3 businesses. And maybe
Okay.
some of these other people are also part of a business, but they didn't write their business down. And then I do know, like, my father's coming, and he's a representative from the Rotary. And so hopefully he'll report back at their meeting too, if no other members do attend. But maybe
And
there
what
will
town
be
was
some
that, Levon? I forget where you said.
in Wakefield.
Oh, he is in Wakefield. Okay. Okay, that will be great. Okay, so right, so let's talk again a little bit about, let's see if how we see this going on Monday. So I think I would request that if we can all be there, or at least some of us be there by 6. I know that Paula is going to need to meet with Tom Bankert to just make sure that her laptop is going to be set up to connect to the school system so that everything will flow properly through there. I guess we'll set up our table off to the side on the stage with the banner, the chairs, so that we can easily drag it into the center once the film is over.
Did we arrange for a table outside of the room as well? In the hallway where we have,
Yeah, we can. So table out the hallway. With some chairs behind it.
yeah. And then we'll have the program and the bookmarks. And if anybody has any of the businesses or people have business cards, they could leave them on that table.
Okay, good idea. All right, so so let's talk about the businesses for a minute. So I haven't heard anything as far as from Biddy and Bose as to who they have chosen to, as far as an employee that's coming with them. So I will try again, but I know that Janice, want to put this down. It's Mary Ann and Dave O'Donnell are the owners of Biddy and Bose. So Dave will definitely be there. He said both of them should be there, but I would just put them both down.
And how do you spell Mary Ann? How do you spell Mary Ann?
It's all one word, so small a. Let me just verify that for you, though. But I'm pretty sure that's how it is. Yes, ANNE, all one word.
And he goes by Dave, not David. Dave O
He goes by Dave.
apostrophe.
You could put David O'Donnell. Yes.
O apostrophe DONNELL.
Correct.
And they're the owners, proprietors. What do they like to be called?
They would be the what's the word I want to use? It's a franchise, so franchise owners, I think, is what I would put. Why are the cats being crazy tonight? Max, come here. Oh my gosh. Okay, and I know that Lorna is working really hard to get Shaw's, but I don't know if she'll be successful or not. So that could be a last minute thing if it works out.
So can we walk through the order of things too, just to make sure that we're correct about that?
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, but how we left it the last time would be we would welcome folks. We would introduce the commission and its members, and this will be me.
You're doing both of those, Marie, right?
I'll welcome folks
Okay.
and then do the introduction, talk about our mission. And then I will introduce Paula, who will do a synopsis and introduce the film. We will show the film. We may need to take a little break to set up the stage. At that point, maybe we want to offer, we want to do a 10-minute or 15-minute break to allow folks to use the restroom.
I'd say do 10 because then people always take longer.
Yep. Okay. So following that, I think we said we were going to then introduce Jeff. Maybe at that point we introduce the panel, and then we would introduce Jeff Gentry as part of the panel, and let him give a little talk about state of employment for people with disabilities, etc. And then step into the panel questions. What are people thinking? And I think, Lorna, are you comfortable with doing that? Introducing Jeff in the panel?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And will you ask the questions and facilitate? Who's going to actually facilitate the panel? Is Jeff doing that, or Lorna doing that, or?
We didn't ask Jeff to do that, so I'm going to say it will be one of us that will facilitate the questions, ask the questions and facilitate that panel. And certainly if, Jeff may have a lot of input, and if he does and he just takes the ball and runs with it, then I say, great, just let him go with it. But
So will he
I
have
don't
the
know.
questions? Who's posing the questions? That's my question.
Well, I'm thinking it should be one of us.
So who should it be? Because we should probably decide tonight.
Yeah, I agree. If someone would like to do it, speak up. Otherwise,
Well, I suppose that the person that's introducing the panel probably be the one to ask the questions. I mean, that kind of seems to go with the flow unless, otherwise people are thinking of something else. I mean,
Are you good with that?
I don't mind doing it. Am I good with it?
Well,
That
that's
depends
what I
on,
meant.
you know,
We don't.
definition of good.
None of us are experts
Are
here.
you comfortable with doing that?
Right.
as
That should have
well?
been my question. We're all going to
Yeah, I
be
mean-
stumbling over one
And
another.
I
but
like
yes.
Yeah.
I like the idea of having
mean,
different voices
I-
doing different things.
Yeah, I mean, I'll get up and sign in front of about 10,000 people and it won't bother me, but make me open my mouth. I trip over my tongue.
Well, you'll have cards with questions.
And that's
Yeah,
fine.
it doesn't
I
matter.
don't mind helping out. I don't mind helping out with that.
I don't mind either, if you didn't want me to do it. I'm used to talking in front of a bunch of people.
There you go.
All right. Well, Levon or Darcy, you did.
Why don't you switch
one of
off?
Yeah, maybe we can switch off Levon.
Sure. If you want to start,
Okay,
Darcy, and if you
that's-
get tired, I can step in.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay, so we're going to take our 10-minute break, and then we're going to come back, and then Lorna, how about you will introduce Jeff?
And the panel, and then come back for the questions. I mean, Darcy and Levon will then ask the
Right,
questions.
you would just introduce the panel and then introduce Jeff, let him speak, and then Darcy will step in to start the questions.
And did you ask Jeff to speak about a particular issue? Can we call his little piece? Is there a name to it? A title that we can put in?
I don't think so. I think I just asked him to talk about what we had talked about at the previous meeting. So like the state of work or employment for people with disabilities in Massachusetts.
Well, that's a good title.
And, just like all the benefits of working with people with, having people with disabilities as your colleagues, from like that end to like the tax benefits of hiring people with disabilities.
Will he also mention, even though that night will be focused on people with intellectual disabilities, will he also mention that though this film is just on, intellectual disabilities, in general, people with disabilities, it's a low employment rate?
Yes.
And feel free to state that, Lorna, because that was the point that you brought up at the last meeting, which was a good one. So if when the film is over and then we hand it off to you, you can make that comment prior to introducing him or somehow weave that into your, whatever it is you want to state.
I don't know how I'd weave it in. I thought if he was talking that he could probably, it would just kind of like maybe he would weave it in towards the end of whatever it is he's talking about. Which makes more sense than me weaving it in.
Okay.
Somebody
Yeah, I
could
can
also,
remind him.
yeah, people could also be poised with a question and ask him a question that relates to it if he doesn't bring it up. Say, I'm wondering about blah, 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 and then ask the question.
One of us, you mean?
Right, we can be ready to ask the question and pose the question if he doesn't sort of naturally bring it up in the course of what he's talking about.
If he, okay. Okay. So does that, do we have a comfort level with this? Do we feel like we've got a good flow? So
and who-
Darcy and Levon will facilitate, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So Mary Ann and Dave O'Donnell are panel members along with Jeff Gentry, right?
Yes,
Am I getting that right? Are there any other panel members?
yes, the two people from Whole Foods.
Do I have their names?
I
forget.
think so. I think I sent them on the 21st.
Okay,
I think I sent them right after.
I think you did.
Let me
And I think
see.
I looked at them and I think I didn't write it down, so I'll go back and I'll look at that. Thank you. And are there any employees that will be on the panel?
There'll be, that's one of the people from Whole Foods. One is an
Okay.
employee and one is a supervisor.
Got it. That's right.
Right, and I'm hoping the same, I asked Biddy and Bose to bring someone, they said they would, I just don't know who they've chosen and who that person will be, so I will follow up this week to, just remind them that that's what they committed
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
And,
And
we'll
this-
just have to wing it if it does,
Yeah, and this little, program we can hold off on printing it till the day of it will be real easy to print, so not a problem.
Okay. Okay, so I will push to get that. So I wanted to look at the RSVP that I sent to everybody, and I had highlighted on that three comments. We had asked at registration, we had asked the registrants if they had any questions that they would like to submit to the panel. And as you saw, we had one registrant who said there is a growing population of individuals with the diagnosis of ASD in Wakefield, so autism. The school's actively planning for appropriate services for these students. What about postgraduate resources, including work programs and housing once aging out? I don't know if this is an appropriate area for the council to address in general or if appropriate for this viewing. Now, we should have the Director of Special Education present. We should also have, I believe, the Director of Education from the VOC present. Does it make sense that I send those two individuals this question and ask them to come prepared to speak to that,
I think that's a great
assuming
idea.
time permits? Okay.
I think Jeff could really talk about the adult services as well and kind of the opportunities post-graduation. Kind of from a family support perspective, I'd be happy to just talk about that as well.
Okay, so do you want to leave it then, Paula? Do you think it's better to just leave it and let the panel address it? And if we need support from those two other individuals, assuming they're sitting there, reach out to them? What do you think the best way is to handle it?
No, I liked what you were gonna do about sending it to
Okay.
them and kind of, I'm just thinking, if we have any holes, because it's just two different worlds that, as everybody knows, the school world and the adult world. So wherever people have questions, we'll be prepared with the answers.
Okay. The other question was, one of the other registrants who is a business here in town said, the question was, talk about employment and how that works. Employees are in the audience listening. So talk and walk us through what the procedure is in hiring. I'm not sure I'm clear on what's being asked there. What do you think?
I wonder if it's like how much support they would need, or, like what is different from hiring a person with a disability versus a teenager without a disability.
I think
I'm
that could,
wondering
of course,
if
it would
they're
depend on
looking
what the
for-
disability is.
Exactly, absolutely. I was
I'm
thinking,
wondering, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was wondering if they're maybe asking about like how, like maybe they want to hire individuals with disabilities, but they're not sure like how to go about that. Like, is there, like, if nobody comes in and asks for a job, like maybe they're wondering, is there an agency that they could go to actually recruit people? That's my take on that question.
Right, the
And do
question
we
is,
have
so talk
information
and
about
walk us
that?
through what the procedure is in hiring. Well, the procedure is
It
a
depends on the disability. There's no set procedure
Right.
for
But
all,
I think now that you say that, Levon, I think that's exactly what they're saying is, how do I get these people to come work at? How do I even go about finding these folks? And, so that's a really good point. People are sitting out in the audience, or people are in town and they want to work at a business in town, but they're not going there because they feel intimidated, and they're not sure whether they're going to have the supports they need to make them successful. Would we say, Paula, that is a big roadblock for people?
I think so, but I think there's also a variety of different resources. I'm thinking, there's Horizon House that's right there in the center. Also, Viability is right there in the center. And then there's obviously, Triangle and Communitas and Northeast Arc. But I think there's lots of different options, and DDS has the money at the moment, but if they're not DDS qualified, eligible, and they have to go through MRC, yes, then that would be a barrier.
So would we be encouraging businesses that are in the audience? Okay, so his question may be one that's on everybody's mind, every employer that's sitting out there. How do I find these people? I think then that may be a point that we need to make.
Is it helpful, like on the back of the, like the agenda,
Yes.
to have like some of those resources listed with some like websites and contact phone numbers in case people are interested? Could even just be like on
I
the
think so.
Yep, I'm thinking, Janice, that would definitely be, right, if you're looking to hire an individual with a disabilities, here is, start here in MRC. Yeah, so let's brainstorm this. What should we be putting on there? MRC, DDS? Should we be putting Communitas?
Add DMH.
I'm so,
Yeah, but if you call DMH, that's such a huge agency.
True. That's what I'm thinking about DDS too, just because,
I agree.
MRC, it's you get a direct person who's finding you the job versus at DDS, they're going to, contract with one of these agencies. And you can't go into all that because people will just lose their
Okay.
minds.
No, it should be direct access to
so
a
let's list some of the
person.
agencies.
Give the
Yes.
phone.
Communitas, Triangle, North,
Yep.
East Arc. Isn't American
Training.
Training.
That's in
So
Wakefield too.
should
isn't it?
we spend some time this week calling each of these places to explain what it is we're doing and who's, give us a point of contact at your facility that if we have an employer in town who's interested, who should they speak to?
I think that would be great.
All right, so I'll call Triangle.
I can take care of Communitas
Yeah.
and Viability.
Viability. Yeah.
That's the first time I've heard of viability.
So I find them, at least in like the Metro North area, the best at finding people jobs. They're more for people who, like, the job coach is going to fade out at some point, but they only do like job placements. And they're right in that building at 27 Water Street where DDS used to be.
Oh, yeah.
And they've been around for a while, but I work with them often, so I could just reach out and make sure I have the best contact person. And I'm thinking Horizon House too, right next to the bowling alley.
Right.
That's a combination of DDS and DMH folks, but
When you talk about these different places, number one, are these, and I didn't mean to jump in, but when you mention these places, you say the letters, but you don't say who they are. Now, I don't know all these places. So I guess what I'm saying is, if you're gonna say,
Department of Mental Health, like that.
yeah,
We'll write it out.
how, do you know what I'm saying? Well,
right.
mean by
Right.
so, the book that I gave everybody, is that stuff in
Yeah.
that? I haven't looked at it lately, so
Pull it
it's
out.
a thought on my end that you just can't. These are all things in your life that you deal with, but these other people are gonna say, well, where do I find these?
I think that's why we're thinking if we had some phone numbers and websites, and I'm thinking we could even have like a 1-sentence descriptor, kind of like we do on the website, of what the agencies are. That could be helpful.
Because I wouldn't know. I mean, you have more flexibility to reach out than.
Well, Lorna, thanks for bringing that to our attention, because you're right. Lois, we're so accustomed to talking in that world that we forget that people who aren't, and that would certainly be the case for employers sitting out there. They would have no idea what we're talking
heck are
about.
these
But we're not going to include though DMH and DDS, right? Because they wouldn't really give direct services. But
Correct.
so the other acronym or the other
Hear that?
initials that would probably need to be spelled out would be MRC, Mass Rehab Commission, which I think definitely needs to be there because it
But I
handles a
think what
variety of
I'll-
disabilities.
Correct.
Do they have local offices for Mass Rehab Commission?
Not anymore. The local office
They
is
had
in
an office
Somerville.
in Malden, but where is it now, Paula?
Somerville, they closed the local offices
Yeah.
and went to like more regional offices.
But there's a regional office still in Somerville.
Yep, yep.
It's better than Boston.
I think there's another regional office in Salem, isn't there?
There might be. I don't know that people from Wakefield can access it.
Oh,
They got pretty firm on who could access
yeah.
what. But they can also, you can, again, we can put this as a statement under the Mass Rehab Coalition, or Commission. You can get benefits training and support. You know, how is this going to affect my Social Security? How is this going to affect my benefits? I feel like for employees, that's a question that comes up often.
And I think we also want to stress in somewhere in the discussion, if it's not brought up, that these agencies, that many of the agencies that are referenced on the back of our program will, for those individuals that participate with them, they will provide support to the employer and employee. I think that's really a crucial point to be made, because again, you know, the employers that don't have experience in this have no idea that that's the case. And I think that they would be intimidated, and to know that there's somebody that could guide them, I think would make a huge difference in whether they were willing to take the chance or not in hiring somebody with a disability. Now, so we've listed some of the agencies. What about Lorna? What's the agency for the deaf and hard of hearing?
Mass Commission for Deaf and Hard of Hearing.
Okay.
Well, for work-related things, it would be MRC, because they have a section for
Okay.
deaf and hard of hearing.
Okay.
They have
Okay.
specialized counselors, and usually they're deaf or hard of hearing.
MOD,
Excuse me?
Mass,
Office of Disabilities, right? That's just
is the name.
these agencies that we're referencing are more local to us versus something on the state level, which, you know, somebody goes to call them, you could be days trying to get anywhere.
Well,
So,
plus there's nobody answering the phones.
yeah, true.
And what about Northeast Arc? Do they,
Yes, that
they're
was
local
another
to,
one.
where are they located?
Danvers?
Bunch of locations, but they're up in the Danvers PD
Danvers, yeah.
area.
That's
Lois,
where
I
I
mean,
think the main offices, I think, is up in Danvers.
Lorna, would you have time this week to call them and just get a point of contact? Northeast Arc?
I didn't know to myself.
So
Yeah.
do we have everybody covered?
Horizon House was not covered.
Can,
I can
Dan-
do that. It's Kristen.
You can,
Hi, Kristen.
good.
I'm
Hi,
sorry, I
Kristen.
can't
Sorry.
see you.
I'm sorry, my video's not working.
Kristen, you can do Horizon House?
Gallery.
Yep, I'll be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Okay, great.
can Dan make a point?
Sure, go ahead, Dan.
Speaking as the liaison for the Veterans Advisory Board
I was
to the
thinking-
Commission on Disability, I think veterans is a big part that you're missing out on. And if you could get a hold of Dave Mangan, the VSO for Wakefield Veteran Service Officer, he can, you know, you've got a lot of veterans returning that have maybe traumatic brain injuries or, you know, other disabilities from war, or just VA ratings, which go from 1 to 100. And I myself am in that group. But, you know, Dave could probably walk you through some of the things you could get from the town of Wakefield, like on your property taxes, discounts off of that, you know, from 10% all the way up to 50% or $500, $1,000. And I don't know if you could get him as one of your panelists, or just have him maybe down in the front row. But if somebody came up with a veteran's question, he could probably answer it for you. And he also deals with the VA over in Bedford. But, you know, this is a group of people that I say people forget about. But these are our people that risked their life, took, you know, the prime of their life to help out this country. And
True.
All right, well, we will include Dave with his contact information.
if you'd like, I could try to contact him. He's a
That'd be
busy
great.
guy, but he's also a very good talker.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Could you spell Dave's last name for me?
I believe it's M-A-N-D-A-N, Mangden.
Thank you.
Let's see.
I'm sure it's on the website. We can find
Yeah,
it on the
At
website.
Converse Street at the, where the senior center is. He works out of there every day. He's right next to Judy,
Ah,
Oh, she's retiring.
who's retiring, I guess.
Thank you for letting Mr. Dan talk.
I'm her liaison and she's on my board, the liaison to that. It works out good.
I didn't see that we had somebody who was going to come up with the information from Mass Rehab Commission, or somebody said American Training.
I will call American Training.
I don't think that there's like one main person at MRC. I think that when someone calls MRC, then it would be like, they would be assigned to one of the workers
Okay.
there, one of the counselors there.
I could call them, you know, kind of state employee to state employee.
Yeah, that could be helpful, Janice.
I'll give it a try.
And if not,
I once was the 23rd person to get a phone call that was being passed from person to person with someone who had a question. And it was like, I'm going to get you the answer. I'm not going to pass this along. So I like went, and it was something having to do with daycare, health and safety. I forget what it was, but she said, yep, you're the 23rd person I've spoken to.
how frustrating.
I
how
couldn't believe it.
frustrating. Poor people. Okay, this is good discussion. Let's go on to, so the next question, I actually know this person and it's a mom, and she says, will there be a virtual line also? So I think what she's asking is maybe a Zoom meeting.
Oh, the presentation be
For the
broadcast.
presentation, yeah, which it will not be live. At least if it is, it will only be through WCAT. So you would have to be in Wakefield, which this person is not. But she goes on to say, moving from awareness to full acceptance of the rights of people with disability, how do we ensure their voices, their safety, and rights as full citizens in society? Major issue, education of the community. Well, that is the exact purpose of why we're doing this. Zero tolerance of abuse and other mean to intimidate, degrade, downplay, use, and abuse.
That makes me think that on the table as resources, it might be a good idea to have brochures from Disabled Persons Protection Commission.
Okay.
And I can get those. I can ask them for those anyway.
Never heard of it.
They're my best buddies.
Oh,
So
you should give us their number.
They're the agency in Massachusetts that works on, it's the reporting agency, you know, how people report to Department of Children and Families if a child is being abused in any way. So if a person is age 18 up to age 59, that gets reported to Disabled Persons Protection Commission. And then once you're my age, it's Executive Office of Elder Affairs is age 60 and over. But we're one of the only states that has a Disabled Persons Protection Commission. Most abuse issues are reported either to Department of Children and Families, and that includes, you know, a 50-year-old, or to Department of Elder Services, and that would include like a 22-year-old. So yeah, we have a pretty extraordinary program. They're not my program, so I can brag about them a lot. It's a quasi-public agency. So it's run by Nancy Alterio, and because they don't have to go up the chain of command like most human service agencies, she's the top. They get stuff done. They just get stuff done.
That's awesome to know. And tonight was a really good discussion. I think that those questions that came, some of the folks who RSVP'd were important, things that we didn't consider, that I think were important. So thank you for that. So for all of us that are agreeing to provide the points of contact for the individual agencies we talked about, just forward that to Janice when you get it, so that she has what she needs to pull this together.
Does people need my email address? So you don't have to pull it out of something, or do you have it? It's JMIRABA, B as in Boston, ASSI, Sam I, @gmail.com.
SSI.
Lois, I'm gonna try to figure out if there's a
@gmail, GMAIL .com, and I'll say that again. It's JMIRABASSI at the little, the at symbol there. I don't even know what that's called. GMAIL.com, COM.
Okay.
Right.
Lois, just go into any of the emails that I send out. You will see everybody's email, but we don't have like a place on the bottom here where I can type in things.
No, we don't have a chat
No
in
chat.
in-town meetings because the chat becomes public record.
Right.
Oh,
We listen to all the things that are put on CAT. We watch them all. Believe me.
you're well informed. Thankfully, you do that.
I'm telling you. And I'm not kidding when I say that.
That's pretty awesome.
Between Dan and I mean, we talk and a lot of people don't even get the item. Who cares? Or baloney.
You don't get the item, you don't know what's going on in this town.
Right. That's right. I'm sorry if I overspoke.
No, you did not. So I think that's all I have. What are people's opinion about feeling about this?
Is somebody writing out the list of questions? And so that night we're not saying, hey, so what are the questions? And maybe on, either a sheet or on cards or something, so that you can trade them back and forth between Levon and Darcy. They can decide who's doing what question.
I will send them out again via email, but I will write them on cards and bring them. Yeah, because let's think about this for the young folks or whomever the employees may be. Maybe we should have the list of questions separate.
Yep.
Large print.
Yep. And I would say one question per card.
The folks from Whole Foods and the employee that are coming there already have the questions, just so they can think about them.
And I forwarded them to Biddy and Bose as well, but maybe we just have them on page,
why not?
It doesn't hurt, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Have a sheet with the question, even if they're filling it out on the spot. Okay.
The folks that I've worked with before, there are peer counselors that work at DPP, Disabled Persons Protection Commission. And whenever they present, they have cards, and the cards are connected so that they turn a card and read the next, turn a card and read the next. And I've seen a bunch of folks who have wide range of disabilities presenting in that manner. So maybe folks are going to be doing that as they come, if they're, if they're ready.
I asked people, I said, whatever they need, whatever the individuals need to bring with them is perfectly fine. You do whatever works for them. We'll be good with whatever.
Yep.
So,
Right. So I need to get the program out to everybody, and we're still doing the PowerPoint in advance that will be kind of running as people come in. Are we still going to try to?
I think if we can do that, that would be great. I think we had some interesting things to display on that.
You sent some really interesting things. And so Paula, I can just send that to you?
Sure. Yep.
Okay, because I would have no idea what to do with it. I can do a PowerPoint, but then I would have no idea.
Yep.
what to do
Absolutely.
next.
Right,
Okay,
so
great.
that Paula can be having that conversation with, his name escapes me now, but Tom Banker, we'll get, just make sure, so she can make sure that she's comfortable. That can be running at the very beginning, right, before we actually start the Intelligent Lives, so.
Oh, I know what I wanted to ask. What time does the building open so we can get in? Next Monday.
I think 6, but I will confirm. Do you think that's,
Do you think it will take a half an hour, or do you want longer than that, Paula, to make sure things are up and running?
I don't think Tom, we had sort of an email conversation with him and he said, I'll be there at 6. Because I
Okay.
asked if he would meet Paula, on another day. And he just said, I'll be there at 6. So.
Do you think we need any more time to get anything set up? Or?
I'll confirm, if the janitor has set the table up in the front with chairs so that's another point. We'll just, I guess our Commission with Disability tablecloth will be on the banner will be on the table that's on the stage, right?
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
I think that would be a good statement.
Yeah, all right. So I'll just I'll confirm that the tables and everything are set up.
Do you want me to bring a tablecloth, a red tablecloth that we can put, I have one, that we can put on the other table?
Yeah, if you have
Just
one.
so it's
that
not,
would be-
yeah.
Yeah, that would be great.
You can even bring out, I can bring the Communitas tablecloth as well.
Oh, maybe that's a good idea.
That's a great
where
idea.
You folks are partnering with us. That would be a great idea. Do
I
that.
love that. That's an awesome idea.
Yeah.
Because it's like, will be look better than just a, empty tabletop. Look more
Yeah, that would
inviting,
be great. And
more
then
welcoming.
We'll have our handouts and whatever. So I think it will be good. I think we're going to have, it will be a manageable crowd,
Mhm.
right? We don't want to be speaking to hundreds of people, but this will be a manageable crowd. And honestly, if we can get 1 or 2 businesses to be receptive to this, it will be a start. And then we can, we can jump
Build on it.
off from there.
Yep.
I think it's just going to take, 1 or 2 businesses to, they're going to hear Biddy and Bose, they're going to hear Whole Foods, and then that, hopefully get some of their questions answered, and then at least give it a try. Like, what else can we add to give it a try? And hope, yeah.
Perfect.
Just one other thing, and just in terms of the flow of things, I know we talked about Jeff talking, and then the 2 employers and employees talking. Then we had talked a little bit about having Jeff wrap things up at the end, and I wanted to see if that still made sense, or we can kind of leave it up to him, and depending on the number of questions and answers, he's happy to do anything, and he's confirmed that it'll be there, but
I think it'd be great to have a little bit of a wrap up. And then Marie, could you then maybe say thanks for coming, and at the end,
Yes.
like you're doing?
Yep, that's what I had down here. thank you and good night. And I had put, if time permits, audience questions. I
So
don't
that would be,
know.
that'd be before the wrap up.
Right.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes.
And is Gentry Gentry?
Yes.
Okay. And is Jeff Jeff or G?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I will, I'll send this out to everybody, what, what we've discussed. So, if you look at it and think we need to change something, I envision some of this just kind of going with the flow too. I mean, we have a plan, but I guess it probably is just all going to depend on how things unfold, exactly how it goes. And where we are with time, I have no idea how that's going to work out.
We'll see. Time permitting, we'll have audience questions.
Yes.
We'll put that in there like that. All right.
And if not, we can always, we can have individuals, just email us. If you have a question that, that we've not been able to answer tonight, just send us an email and we will get you a response from one of the participants and we'll respond back to you. Or put it on our website or, we'll come up with something.
Lovely. It'd be nice if we ran out of time for audience questions.
Yeah, it would be. It would
That
be
was
nice to be able to get some in if we can.
Yes, it would be. But you keep them wanting more. It could be like, if somebody suggests, let's have another community dialogue
Yes,
about this.
Yes, yep.
That'd be awesome.
We could certainly host that for sure. Certainly host that for sure. And I don't know, maybe next year our big thing is going to be on housing, that we, spend a good part of the year next year doing our due diligence on that and then hosting some kind of a forum. So too much to do, and meeting only once a month is just not enough.
Oh,
All right.
Anything else? Anybody have anything else? No? Okay, well, then we will all see one another in person for the first time for many of us, on Monday at 6:00.
Lovely.
It's
I look forward to it.
Yes, absolutely.
And I won't bring my cat.
Well, if you bring yours, I'll bring mine. We can put them in a little room so they can play.
I know. I think they were interested in meeting each other tonight. All right.
Would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn? You're on mute, Lorna.
Hold
You have a
on.
question?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah. Because I forgot to mention it to you. I did send out a flyer to Bev Elsowitz and asked her to maybe send out these flyers to the parents of her students.
And I had
That they
sent
could
one
see.
to post too.
Okay.
They didn't respond though, which is unusual, but I did send it. So yeah, I mean, could have done a lot. I think we could have done to the school newsletters, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, if people read the item and they're on the Wakefield community page, they're seeing it. So, and a lot of people are just going to wait till the last minute, right? It depends. It depends on what their day is looking like, right? What's going on with their kids, whether they're going to make the commitment to come or not. So I do. And so that's another question. If people do come to the door, we probably should have a sign-in sheet, right? Because we know from our online registration who's there, but I'll do something. We probably should have a sign-in sheet so people can sign in. Just
I think it's also great, excuse me, although Bella, our student youth council liaison, has not been able to attend some of the meetings because of winter guard practice or something like that. but she is coming on Monday night. She's
Oh,
also
great.
bringing like about 3 other students with her so that they are also getting this exposure also, which I think is definitely necessary too.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, and we will have the special ed director from the town and from the Voc. So, you know, we want to keep them engaged. We want to keep the Voc particularly engaged
Yeah.
because, you know, they've got some opportunities up there. You know, and I mean, there's another, Janice, another place. I mean, the Voc has
Mm.
these kids that are doing all of this stuff. And some of them, I'm sure, have their own challenges that,
Right, and that's all geared toward employment, the
Right.
entire school.
right?
Is there a person there that anybody knows that works on like employment preparation for students with
I have no
disabilities?
idea. I have no idea.
Well, I bet the
Neither.
special education director will have some input on that.
Yeah.
Okay,
So, and, you know, hopefully he or she, if they're sitting in the audience, you know, maybe they'll volunteer some information. Say, add my
Well,
name to that list or something.
Part of every high school student's IEP planning in their last 2 years of school is transitional planning for them, and that can include going employment. So they definitely would have information about that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, maybe at some point following this, we can somehow solicit businesses in town who may be, you know, who are receptive to this. You know, if you're receptive, let's post your name on our website so that these agencies or the Voc can go on our website and look to see what businesses are in town and then contact them regarding specific students. Maybe that's something we can do. Yeah, I guess first steps first. Let's hope we have some people interested. That will be that will be wonderful. Oops.
well, it's great that this is happening after, how long has it been postponed?
Yeah, well, we were supposed to
And
do
we
it
started
before
talking about it, I
last.
think, the fall of 2019.
Oh, my goodness.
Right.
And
We
we
were
had
gonna
it
do
set
it
up for 2020,
20.
and that got canceled. And then, of course, we couldn't schedule anything in 2021.
Well,
Here
it'll be
we
worth
are.
the wait.
It was worth the wait because we have some really great commission members here that have really made the difference to make this happen. So
Yep.
I think it's
Yep.
awesome. I think we've worked great as a team to pull this off. Let's just
Yeah.
hope that it's somewhat successful. So
Yep.
Yep.
And I think the new person, hopefully, who gets selected will be a good addition too. And we're going to miss Darcy.
Yes.
But we know where you are and what you do
Yeah.
if we need to tap into you.
We will.
Uh,
I
I
will.
think
Okay.
we can put your name on the program as outgoing commission member.
Yeah.
And if the new person is allowed, whatever, approved, would you let me know so we can add their name?
Yes, I
Okay.
will. I'll try to.
We can-
connect
and
with
we could
Sherry
put
tomorrow.
Dan as our honorary commission member
There you go.
because he contributes so much.
Right.
Yeah, he really does. And
Yep.
Yeah, Lois and
hopefully-
Dan are just tuned in. If we need to know anything about
I
what
know.
any other group is doing in this town, they're the ones to contact.
That's awesome.
You got us covered, Lois.
truly,
Yes,
That-
truly.
that one night, the meeting didn't get out until after 11:30.
I know.
We were
you said
still up waiting.
that.
Well, Board of Appeals has gone to midnight many times.
Yeah, I've heard about the Board of Appeals.
Yep.
Well, the Zoom is kind of useful now because now at least you can go on and you can fast forward through things that, that maybe really
Mhm.
don't pertain, that you're
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
particularly looking for. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it does have its,
And everybody's already home when they finish the meeting is the other piece. You don't then have to,
right,
in the middle of the
just-
winter, get in your cold car and drive home.
Right, right.
This
Oh,
has
yeah, my
definitely made
old
it
car
easy.
is my husband's and mine. We share, but I don't drive, thank God.
So you can stay in and he can go warm it up for you.
Well, he does.
Yeah, there you go. See?
Hey, I got it made.
Okay, so if we're set, then may I have someone make a motion to adjourn?
Can we adjourn?
Yes, we can. Someone want to second it?
Second.
Okay, well, we'll look forward to seeing one another on Monday. And fingers crossed that this goes off half as well as we're hoping.
Oh,
Well, it won't be for not trying.
Exactly.
Oh,
Thank-
Janice, when listing the commission members, don't forget to put down Bella's name for our youth council liaison.
Thanks, Lorna.
Last name? I forget.
Schwartzberg?
Yeah, hold on, I'll see if I can find it.
Thank you for that reminder. I would have not remembered to do that.
I have her name.
Schwartzberg, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
SCHWARTZBERG.
And Bella.
Isabella.
It's really Isabella, but she goes by Bella.
She goes by Bella. SCHWARTZBERG. Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. So I'm going to go as far as I can with this, and then get it out to folks to take a look at what this looks like, and I'll just keep adding to it. We'll just have draft after draft until it's done. But I'll get a first draft out to people.
Okay, that would be
thank you.
great.
I'll get it to you hopefully by Wednesday.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Very good. All
Thank
right,
you.
everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right.
And good night. And we'll
Have a
see you
great
soon.
week.
Good night. Thanks,
You
everybody.
too.